like last time, little live button in the top.
I think I'm seeing that right now.
But we'll do that. And so, yeah, so we'll, it takes a few minutes. So there's actually quite a delay between when we're talking and when everyone hears as it connects to everything.
Okay.
So, and Mike, I'll do my best. I sometimes have a hard time talking and reading at the same time. So if you see me staring and kind of mumbling a little bit, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. It's something I have not perfected yet.
No worries.
So let's see here. All right. Looks like we're on and it's caught up to us. So, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in for this week's #LockBoss giveaway. And of course, I'm going to be drinking a Topo Chico. Cheers to all you out there drinking them. And we have a special guest with us, Mike, owner of GMS Industries. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me on. And I guess hello to everyone. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I have to ask, so have you ever done a YouTube live or like Facebook live before?
No, this is my very first time and don't know what to expect, but here it is.
Yeah, but here it is. That's exactly right. Mike, I tell you, the first few I did, my heart was like pounding,
okay.
pounding like crazy, but yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And we'll have anyone, if you want to ask Mike any question, go ahead and pop it in the comments and I'll pop it up on the screen and we'll read it together. But before we get going here, let me catch us back up to what has got us here today. So earlier or last week, since the last live, we've been on a little bit of a video roll, putting a whole bunch of different videos out, including the access control tool, the cat field tester video. We then did on Friday the crazy 3-wheel locksmithing van video, and then on Sunday, we did the pinning a lock in 10 seconds inside GMS. So, Mike, thank you for sending me those videos. So, I mean, being able to include those and see them, as we both saw in the comments, people absolutely loved seeing them, including myself, So that cylinder video.
Right.
So when they would take the cylinder and they'd put it in there, the first thing that would happen was all the pins being dropped in.
I think you saw a little bit of that of the next station, if you will. The next station, what it was doing, if you looked at it, they're actually probes coming down the chambers, reading the individual cuts of the key. So reading the key, it feeds back to the computer to tell the computer what pins to load, for example. So because it's like a giant turntable of maybe about 10 stations. So the actual pinning are kind of behind it, if you will. But one station does one thing and the next station does another. But anytime you see the table index one position, that's one cycle. Because each individual station is doing its individual task. So by the time it comes around to the unloading station, then that will be a complete cylinder. So every time it indexes one position, that's one full cycle.
Okay, interesting. So, and I kind of now remember you kind of bringing this up, but I kind of forgot about the fact that, those little prongs go down and they actually do they actually touch the key
Correct.
That's been inserted?
That's right. It will touch the key so it reads the height or the depth. It figures out whether or not it's number 1 or number 5 cut for whichever chamber, for example. And then it figures out from there.
Okay, and so it figures it out, and then it tells the computer, hey, in this chamber, put a 210 bottom pin, or in this chamber, put, 195, whatever it might be.
That's right.
That's amazing. So now, is this something that like you guys had created, or did you design it, or did you find a company? Like, I'm kind of curious about that.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not we cannot take any credit for a machine like that. In the lock industry, a automated pinning machine similar to what you saw in the clip, they've been around for a while. I would guess at least 20 years, or if not more. But of course, in the older days, machines may not be as sophisticated as they are today, with all the PLC controllers and all that kind of stuff. But machines like that have been around. But of course, all these machines are custom made. So as far as our machine is concerned, there are some customizations that we requested that is unique to what we do.
Okay. And so there's a company out there kind of made it for you guys, and then you use it. That's now, as far as the bottom pins. So do you have like these chambers loaded up full of like little bottom pins, or is it a hopper that they come out of? How does that, and sorry for asking you technical questions about this.
Okay. Well, first of all, as we know, bottom pin has orientations, right? So the pointy part points down. So what happens is you have this barrel, you throw all the pins in there, it will vibrate, like you say, a hopper there. And then you'll vibrate, and then you'll see kind of like a, not exactly a staircase, but like a spiral that kind of lines up the pins. And then only the pins that line up with the right direction will stay on this track, if you will. That spirals up. And then if it's pointing in the wrong direction, it gets rejected. And as this kind of spirals up, it gets fed into this tube. So the tube extends from the barrel all the way to, let's say, where the indexing position is, to allow the bottom pin to be actually sort of, let's just say, you shoot it in with pneumatic pressure, if you will. But it has to be pointing in the right direction. So that barrel is doing that.
Okay. Interesting. Now, Tony asks a question. He says, how many mistakes does it make?
Oh, I don't have a number off the top of my head, but all the mistakes, if anything, are mostly human. Imagine the barrel is supposed to be all number 1 pin, and somebody made a mistake by putting in a number 0 pin in there, or there's some kind of a mix-up. Okay. So that could be that's obviously a serious mistake. But once in a while, the pin could be wrong side up, if you will, the bottom pin. Okay. But the sensor, there are sensors on the machine that will pick that up, and then basically throw a alarm to tell you about it. Let's just say we're not complaining about its performance.
Okay. Good. We have another question here from Ken Nixon, who asks, does GMS use security drivers in their cylinders?
For the regular, for the standard cylinders, I call them, meaning OEM cylinders like working like a Schlage, like Quickset. For those type of cylinders, we don't use security pins. And then because, for example, originals don't use that for their standard cylinders as well. Mm-hmm. However, as you know, we have MX line of cylinders. For those MX cylinders, they are meant to be key control, offers a little bit more security. In those MX cylinders, the top pins do have what we call the security pins, if you will, the spool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the normal cylinders you don't, because the OEMs don't,
they
right?
Don't have them. That's right.
Because you're essentially trying to just replicate what's existing to the exact specs.
That is correct.
Whereas the MX, which I want to get into a little bit, you do include those to add that little extra higher security. So it's not like you don't have the pins or you don't have the technology or understanding. You're just simply on the replacement cylinders. You're making, replacement cylinders, right?
Sure. That's a good way of putting it.
Okay. So as far as MX, so I'm kind of curious, and I waited to not ask you the questions in the interview that we did, but kind of live just for fun. And so with MX, so is that like where did the idea come from to, you know, before you were doing MX, you were just doing the replacement cylinders, but at some point you decided, hey, let's make our own keyway and let's do some restricted key systems with it. So I'm kind of curious about that story.
Yeah, I guess by the time we were by the time we introduced MX cylinders, we've been doing this for a while, and one of the challenges, if you will, is how to get distributors to be interested. I mean, more distributors to be interested in our full line of cylinders, if you will. And then, so you could say just the idea of having a restricted keyway is not. It was not uncommon, but what was unique at the time when we came up with the idea was that, hey, what if some of the major distributors all have their own MX keyway, if you will. That way, it's a little bit more enticing for them to carry out products, if you will, and at the same time, as a exchange, if you will, they get to carry a keyway of their own. And so we designed enough keyways to kind of divide up enough among the distributors that we had in mind, and just basically went to them and then say, hey, this is what we have to offer, and if you become a full line distributor, this kind of sweeten the pie, if you will, the pot, if you will. So that's kind of how it got started. And I think it didn't take very long to realize that, hey, the distributors like the idea, and at the same time, we also recognize that we didn't want it to be too complicated in terms of paperwork, like some of the very high end, high security lock cylinders. I felt that if we were able to do our part to, let's say, serialize the keys, and knowing where the key, who we sell the keys to, the fact that these are very limited quantities, it will provide that the key control people were looking for uh, on a very good value basis.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's been absolutely great having our own MX keyway that we launched a couple weeks ago, and getting the dealers signed up. And, it's been a great experience thus far. And it's such a great, because you decided to use the Schlage specs for the basic
Oh
MX,
yes,
right?
yeah, I think you. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, we when we were working on it, it made a whole lot of sense if we could make sure that this is the exact Schlage spec, just so that the cost of entry is as minimal as possible. Now, anyone locksmith who is interested in working with MX cylinders, they have all the tools they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best features. I mean, it's one thing, to get signed up and to do it, and you have to buy a $5,000 machine, and you have to get a special pinning kit. And usually every little part in that kit's even more expensive. To be able to use all of your existing tools I mean, it's really amazing, and we're getting a couple questions here about this, but I first want to answer Tyler, yes. So the MX13, which is our keyway, can be master keyed the exact same way as you would master key a basic Schlage C lock. Same depth,
Absolutely.
same depth, same space, and all the rules, all the Schlage rules apply.
That is
So
correct.
let's see here. Ken asks, must be difficult to figure out a keyway that no other blank would fit.
Takes a lot of work.
Does it?
Yeah, I think basically, in order to design a keyway, you could think of a keyway as kind of vertically speaking, a rectangular window. Then if you remove all these grooves and all these cuts, it's really nothing but a slot, if you will. So then you start adding cuts into it. They call it wards, they call it grooves, and then you make up the shape, if you will. Now, in many ways, you could have infinite shapes that you could create within this slot. But at the same time, you need to have a basis of how wide it needs to be and how tall it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So for MX, I guess after we studied enough keyways, we kind of decided on a certain size, if you will, and start sort of just removing these, adding a grooves or adding cuts to create the shape of that keyway. Let's just say you kind of spend a lot of time looking at existing keys to see that you try to make sure the pattern is not close to it to begin with. And then based on that, you create your own patterns, if you will. And then you kind of, then you have a pretty high confidence that it will work. It will reject most of the keys out there. Now,
Yeah.
it's important for me to also state that a lot of times these, this cannot be guaranteed because there's just so many keyways out there. But we stand behind our product now, meaning, unfortunately, if the sort of unexpected actually happen, then we obviously will do what we can to make sure everything works out for our customer.
Absolutely. Very interesting. Yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing, and when we got our own keyway, it was like, wow, I can't believe GMS has actually manufactured these just for us to sell. I mean, as a distributor, it makes you feel pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Now, what happened is, I think I should add to that a little bit of context about developing a keyway, for example. Now, because of the idea of MX, knowing that we need to have quite a few keyways of our own, if you will, and at the same time of limited quantities or limited circulation, if you will. So
Yep.
we invested in our own ways of own methodology, if you will, of making the brooches and making the keyway to bring the cost down. And so it helped quite a bit in terms of making unique keyway for you, for example.
Okay, so you have your own methodology that you use to create them, so a company like mine can have our own keyway.
Yes, without I believe without having sort of this new methodology that we came up with, it can be very expensive to invest in the tooling, especially when the circulation is very small.
Sure. Okay. Very interesting. Mike, so, a couple of questions I kind of want to talk about from the comments from the videos. Okay. And hey,
Right.
everyone hanging out with us right now, welcome. If you've tuned in recently, we have Mike here, owner of GMS Industries. And feel free to put a comment or a question in the comments. And if I can get to it, I will ask. So, Mike, it was very interesting. You talked about your family history as your dad was in the baking industry.
Well, he's a baker. We had a bakery. That's
Yes.
as much of a bakery industry we got into.
Okay, yeah. So he had his bakery, and one of the questions asked is, what was his specialty? What was his shop's specialty?
Oh my, we kind of had a little bit of everything. We had our bakery was I would say cater very much to the Asian community, if you will. So some of the traditional Asian pastries, but at the same time, there's the mix of the modern. We have fresh cakes, fresh whipping creams and cheesecake and all that kind of stuff. Whatever I guess whatever it took to make a little bit of money.
Okay.
Kind of a mixed match of everything.
Okay, so it was kind of like an entire like full baking line
Sure. We, we,
to
we
the
we made
Asian
bread.
community.
Yeah, we
Okay.
made bread. We made cakes. If you ask me, did we specialize in anything? Honestly, I don't think I recall that, but we did make a whole varieties of stuff in the bakery. Bread was
Okay.
good. Buns were good. The cakes were very good. And whenever there's like, let's say Chinese festivals like the they call it the autumn festival. Then you have
Hmm.
moon cakes, for example. So my dad would make those, and
Really?
I always helped as well.
You did. And is that something like now? I mean, although you sell cylinders today, I mean, did growing up, did you do a lot of baking? Like, was it a passion of yours?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, but I had to help. I would go to school. I come home and I help in the bakery. Very common, if you will, for a family run type of small bakery shop. And you could argue as a kid, I was made to do it. It wasn't something that I was totally interested or focused on doing.
Okay. Good stuff. Now, is there any like family recipes that you're still making today from then?
Oh, oh yeah. Steam buns, for example. I think my dad had a killer recipe for something as simple as a plain steam bun, and then we're still once in a while my wife actually makes this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey guys, keep asking your questions. I'll ask a few more here. I know we're getting along. We'll get to the giveaway in just a minute, but I had to show you here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Is uh, I'm not sure. I'm guessing Connor probably made this, or maybe Megan, but it was a picture of Mike and I on social today. And we have me as Woody and Mike as Buzz Lightyear. You guys have to see it. I don't know if I can make it. You guys see it pretty good, but I thought it was pretty funny. Let me see. There we go. How cool is that? Oh, Mike. I thought it was pretty funny, but good stuff. So we got that. Let's see here. We have a few more baking questions, Mike. All right, just a few
Oh
more.
my gosh. I think we should stick with cylinders, to be honest.
Sick was telling us. Okay, so Mike, we had a question here about. Let's see here. Let me see here, Mike. Okay, Mike, if you could. Joe Pick. So Mike kind of went into pretty good detail in the video, but Mike, could you give us a quick summary of how you got into the lock industry?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned it in the first during the interview we did last week,
Mhm.
that it was my dad. He had friends visiting us in Vancouver, Canada. The idea is to kind of letting him know that economy in Taiwan was doing very well, and then he could go visit and see what opportunities were out there. And he was introduced to basically the lock industry, if you will, and that's kind of how we got involved. But so at around that time, it was my senior year of studying engineering. And as soon as I graduated, my dad mentioned, "Well, you should come and join me and see what I'm doing here now." So when I joined him, it was nothing to do with. There's not much to do with the lock cylinders that we do today, but we were exposed, if you will, or involved in the lock business. And then looking at it, really, we thought it was it's a good opportunity, but we were obviously we had no idea sort of can you imagine jumping from doing bakery or being a baker all your life, and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, this is a good idea. If you want to be in the lock business, you should pursue this, if you will. And that did not end well, to put it sort of bluntly. and it actually didn't take too long to figure it out. Oh man, we were in a bad shape, if you will. And then I decided that actually having learned a thing or two about locks and lock cylinders, then I decided that we could pivot to be making replacement cylinders, and that's basically how GMS got started.
Yeah, that's very cool, Mike. Thanks for giving a quick summary about that.
No problem.
Let's see here. All right, one more question, and we're going to get on to the giveaway here. So let's see here. All right, here we go. Oop. What happened to that question? Oh, it moved. There we go. This is from Chris over at River City Locksmith. He says, does GMS have any plans to expand from the cylinder business into more lock hardware?
At this time, the answer to that is no. We feel this is the niche that we're good at, and we continue to sort of try to be even more specialized, if you will. So even for something as simple as lock cylinders go, there's still ones that we haven't sort of developed that the market needs. For example, we've been working on a full line of interchangeable cores, starting with best small format, and then over the years we added Schlage LFIC. We added the Sargent. I forgot what the model number is now, but again, a Sargent, as you know, have a large format IC core, and then so does Corbin. And then right now we want to work on the Yale, for example. So the time frame for that, for Yale large format, sometime next year. I don't have an exact timeline right now because there's so many things going on with the logistics of just bringing the products over from overseas. So I don't have a timeline for that. So anyway, so the short answer is no. We don't plan on expanding to markets that's not cylinder related.
Okay. Very good. Well, perfect, everybody. Hey, thank you for asking all the different questions. We're going to move on to the giveaway. So I apologize if I didn't get to you. So this week, we're going to be giving out a starter pack, a starter pack of GMS cylinders. All right. So there's going to be key and knob cylinders, rim cylinders, mortise cylinders of different sizes, kind of like a nice little variety pack that you can have, you can use on jobs, you can mess with. And if you're not familiar with GMS, it would be a great little introduction pack. So all 5 winners are going to be getting one of these tonight. So let's go ahead, Mike, and I'm going to go over the rules really quick, and then we'll announce the winners.
No problem.
All right. So each and every week, we post videos on YouTube. When you comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 prizes that we give away every week here on Tuesday on YouTube. Now, each contest is standalone. It runs Monday through Sunday, and then we announce the winners on Tuesday. No purchase is necessary to enter. Just comment and include the hashtag LockBoss. Now, if your name is announced tonight, your YouTube username, you're going to want to email us at sales@clksupplies.com. We'll get your address. We'll make sure we have it correct. We're going to ship the winnings out to you. So that's how it works. And let's go ahead and announce the 5 winners. Here we go. Winner number 1 is right here. Terry Lewis. Congratulations, Terry. Let me go ahead and put the winners in here. All right. Winner number 2 this week is Jack Kilduff.
Cool.
Jack, congratulations. I'm going to type your name in here. All right, winner number 3 this week is Back Pocket Locksmith. Congratulations here. Let me type this in. All right, winner number 4 is Willard 102. Willard 102, congratulations. And last but not least, winner number 5 this week is Paul Aden. Paul, hopefully I said your last name right there. Let's put in here. All right, there we go. So that's the 5 winners this week. Thank you, everybody, for commenting and all the kind comments towards Mike and GMS. Really, definitely appreciate it. And Mike, thanks for coming on live and not only answering lock questions, but also a few bakery ones as well. So, you know,
it's funny. The lock questions were easy compared to the bakery questions.
That's funny, Mike. Well, hey, I have to tell you, you know what? I personally love GMS. You have an absolutely great company, and it's very obvious when you look at the comments that people in the industry definitely think the cylinders that GMS makes is high quality and just a great value, and they're a cylinder to be relied on. So thank you for having such a great company.
Oh, no. Listen, it only works if people want to buy them. So I also need to thank you as well. I think it's, at the end of the day, hard work paid off, if you will. But again, it goes back to the philosophy we have, the principles we have for the way we make our cylinders. So we'll stay on top of that. I will stay on top of that for everybody. So thank you for having me on today.
Awesome. Absolutely, Mike. Well, hey, Mike, I hope you have a great evening. Everybody watching, I hope you have a great evening as well. And we will see you here next week. Have a good night.
Good night.